One para, after their initial setback, consolidated their force and launched another attack on the dominating positions at Sunk. The enemy responded with heavy fires using medium machine guns, light machine guns, and other small arms. But this time, one para had a better assessment of the enemy's defensive positions and vulnerabilities it could exploit. Heavy fighting continued for 6 straight hours. And at 4:30 in the morning, one para did a frontal assault at the enemy's positions. This assault forced the enemy to retreat from their positions. They vacated their posts and retreated to the next line of defense, the peak of Sar. One para continued on its momentum and didn't give enough time for the enemy to settle in at Sar either. Soon, they attacked Sar and captured this feature as well. The last major line of defense of the enemy was Led Wali Gali. One para rapidly reached here as well, initiated an assault at this feature. The enemy's defense at this position was the strongest, and they put up a fierce resistance at this spot. Eventually, they were forced to retreat from this feature as well. By the morning of August 27th, it had been almost 36 hours of continuous fighting between the two sides. 4 Rajput and 19 Punjab were still stalled on the Bidori front. One para gained some major tactical victories by capturing Sunk, Sar and Led Wali Gali. Now what was left was the main objective, the feature of Hajipir Pass, which was still under enemy control. The enemy had also assessed the situation and they were anticipating a full-blown attack at their positions at Hajipir. So Pakistan Army provided reinforcements to strengthen the defenses at Hajipir. They were ready to defend against any attack at their positions. It was now Brigadier Bakshi's move. Brigadier Bakshi had 2 options. He could either stick to the original plan of attacking Hajipir simultaneously from 2 sides, but for this, he had to halt one para's movements at Led Wali Gali till 19 Punjab and 4 Rajput was successful in capturing Bidori and were ready to assault Hajipir from the eastern side. Or he could order one para to continue its momentum and attack Hajipir alone. The first option was the logical one, but ran the risk of giving more time to the enemy to further reinforce their defenses. The second option was risky, but had the advantage of taking out the enemy when it was off balance. It was achievable only if executed with precision and speed. Brigadier Bakshi was contemplating his next move when he received orders from the HQ to stop any further movement of one para towards Hajipir till Bidori was captured. The assaulting columns were to move towards Hajipir only after that. The headquarters ordered him to go with option 1. Brigadier Bakshi didn't agree with this approach. He assessed that this approach would give more time to the enemy to set up their defenses. He was confident that his troops in one para were capable of achieving the required precision and speed to capture Hajipir on their own. So Brigadier Bakshi unilaterally decided to go ahead with option 2. And he did this against the express orders of his superiors at the HQ. This was a very risky move on his part, since he could be personally held responsible in case things didn't go as planned. He was aware of these risks and yet moved ahead with the decision. He planned a covert commando-style attack at Hajipir with Major Ranjit Singh Dayal as the lead of the mission, along with small column from Alpha and Delta companies of one para. His specific message to Major Dayal was, "अगर ते जीत लिया हाजीपीर तो तू हीरो बन जाएगा, नहीं तो मैनू वो कैद कर लेंगे. If you win Hajipir, you will be a hero. If you fail, they will arrest me for this decision." Same day, August 27th, 3:30 p.m., almost 42 hours into the battle for Hajipir, Major R.S. Dayal's column commenced their march from Led Wali Gali towards Hajipir Pass. They continuously walked till 4:30 the next morning, took some rest, and began the march again at 7 a.m. By 9 a.m., Major Dayal's column was 700 meters from the enemy's positions. This is when the enemy spotted the column and opened fire at their positions. However, with their covert approach, Major Dayal and his column was able to get close enough to the enemy defenses to assess their formations and positions. The main firepower was coming from the medium machine guns at the pass. The defense formations were centered around a few MMG positions that were bringing down ferocious fire at the Indian column. If there was any way Haji Pir was to be captured, these MMGs had to be silenced. Major Dayal assessed the situation and concluded that the best way of silencing the MMG position was to attack it from its flank, especially from a direction the enemy would not anticipate an assault. So Major Dayal devised a plan to continue the main column, engaging the enemy from the front, while two platoons moving on the enemy's side and attack the enemy positions from its flank. It was crucial that the enemy believed that the Indian side was only trying to attack Haji Pir frontally, while the smaller section outflanked the enemy. The plan was set in motion. The main column engaged the enemy from the front with all its power, and the two platoons covertly moved to the enemy's side, climbed up steep spurs in that direction, and when they were in position, opened fire at the enemy from its flank. The enemy was shell-shocked by the multi-directional attack and suffered very heavy losses. The attack took out the main firepower of the enemy, and seeing this opportunity that could be exploited, the Indian column on the frontal assault moved ahead with heavy fire on the enemy positions. The enemy saw the Indian troops rapidly closing in from two sides, so they vacated their posts and retreated from Haji Pir. So on August 28, 1965, at 10 a.m., Haji Pir Pass was secured by the brave men of 1 Para of the Indian Army, under the leadership of Major Ranjit Singh Dayal. Haji Pir was in Indian hands. And by August 29, 1965, the initially stalled 19 Punjab and 4 Rajput also carried out daring attacks at Bidodi and eventually captured the peak. With this, all the objectives of Operation Bakshi were completed by the Indian Army. The capture of Haji Pir was a major turning point of the 1965 war in India's favor. It blocked the main infiltration route of the enemy, and with no logistical support or personnel support from the enemy's side, the infiltrators already present in the valley started surrendering to the Indian Army, leading to the eventual failure of Pakistan's ambitious plan, Operation Gibraltar. With the failure of Operation Gibraltar, the Pakistan military launched the next phase of their plan of capturing Kashmir, codenamed Operation Grand Slam.